Hello, and welcome to My Streaming Bubble, the podcast where I talk about the shows I love with the people I tolerate. I am your TV watching and talking host, Jen, and today, Bex from Big Reputations Podcast is back in the bubble to talk about early morning jobs, how to handle getting your period when you're traveling through time, and what would the kid version of us think of the adult version of us. Today, we are delivering our take on Paper Girls. So welcome back, Bex. Very excited to have you here.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Very happy to talk about this show. I really, really enjoy it. So,
me too. Yes, very much so. And we'll get all into that shortly. But for anyone that might be listening to us discuss things for the first time, would you want to tell us a little bit about your podcast, Big Reputations?
Sure. Yes. So Big Reputations is a podcast I co-host with my friend Kim. We've been doing it since 2021. It is in its final year. We are wrapping up, but it's a podcast where we talk about the women that society has judged too harshly, and we try to uncover some of the truths behind their experiences and stories.
Awesome. And it's such a great podcast, and I'll have to make sure and get all caught up because I'm so behind in all my podcast listening.
I understand that. I understand. No, for real. We've actually released from when this comes out, maybe a week or two ago, the what we call a Little Rep Rewind, which is where we release our Patreon content out into the wild so that people can hear it. For a while, it was to try and get them to subscribe to the Patreon and get more content. But at this point, it's honestly for time. We're like, we ain't got time. My co-host has a 1-year-old, and I have 100 and something 20-year-olds. So it became too much for us to do it the way we wanted to, right? We really wanted to go all in. And so we've been releasing some of our back catalog, but today was, or the previous episode, it wasn't today. Even to this day we're recording, it wasn't today. But the last one was on Rosie Perez. So that was a lot of fun. But I honestly think, because most of those episodes are like 20, 30 minutes, this one's 40. I honestly think we were just rambling for most. Little Reps are a lot more rambling than our regular reps. So if you like our rambling, check us out.
Excellent. Excellent. And the Little Reps are perfect. Just nice and easy. Like you said, 20, 30 minutes. So, all right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started on Paper Girl. So this is your official spoiler. Oh my God, words. This is your official spoiler warning. But first, a content warning for implied child abuse. We don't see it, but it's definitely discussed. I'm not sure. Nothing else really stands out. So if I'm missing anything, please let me know.
Yeah, nothing comes to mind beyond that.
Yeah.
Right now.
So, and what IMDb says about this show: four young friends' paper routes are disrupted on Hell Day 1988 when they unknowingly time travel to 2019. While searching for a way home, they come face to face with their adult selves and learn how to work together to save the world. What I says about this, I says a group of girls go from having a job to not having a job.
I wrote, 4 preteen girls experience the worst paper route ever.
Truly. The show was created by Stephanie Folsom, and it's based on the comics by Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chiang. And it stars Cameron Jones, Riley Leigh Nallett, Sophia Rosinski, Fina Straza, Adina Porter, Nate Cordry, Ali Wong, Sakai Abeni, Celeste Arias. Oh, I did not look at this before. I apologize. Daniel Rashid and Jason Mantzoukas. And it's streamable only on Prime because they're fucking assholes, and it doesn't appear to be available on DVD. And just real quick with the whole fucking Prime bullshit, when I went to go search for this, I spelled out paper and got to the G before it popped up as a suggestion.
Oh, for real?
For real. Oh. And then it never once reappeared on my continue watching.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I did. It was on my continue watching, so hopefully that was just some weird glitch. But
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We have the version with commercials too, so it's not like we're paying for it to show up on our feed or something. But that's crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe because I watched it before.
Oh, maybe?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's because, our continue watching is stuff that we were watching like 2 years ago.
Oh, sure. That makes sense.
So, yes. And then the whole just ads and everything just fucking pisses me off so much.
It's like when things are created with the intent for commercials, the commercials appear at logical breaks. But some of these were mid-scene, and that's what drives me crazy. Like, at least if you're going to put commercials in, I'm thinking about Erin's podcast, right? She records it. She doesn't put the commercials in. The network puts the commercials in when she publishes it. But she knows to say, like, okay, and now we're going to an ad break, so they know where to put the ad break.
Exactly. And it's like, I don't mind, like, if I'm watching something like on Roku or Tubi, because that's all free.
Right.
And sometimes the ads aren't in the place for where the ad would have been. Because, like, I was watching Grimm on Roku, and it wasn't always where the ad breaks originally were. It still just would kind of cut into a scene. But it's free. So, whatever. But this one...
Yeah, that was my experience with... with my 8 is enough binge watching. Same thing with the commercials, right? They weren't always in the right place, but it was Tubi, so it's fine.
It's fine. They can do whatever they need to do to stay free. So,
yes, thank you.
All right. So, Bex, what are your general thoughts on the show? And have you read any of the comics?
Yeah, so I actually first heard about the show, I think, when Erin from It's a Fandom Thing interviewed some of the cast of the show. And I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. I think I want to check it out. But then I was in my local comic book store, shout out, Galaxy Comics in Brooklyn. And they had the the bound volumes, right? Because comics are weird. You can buy like either a single issue or like the volume of like 6 or so issues. Or with Paper Girls, they had the entire omnibus in one volume, which was like hundreds of pages long, it felt like. And I was just like, oh, this looks so cool. I want to get it. And I was like, but that's an awful lot of money if I'm not sure if I'm going to like it. So I went to my local library and I did read it first. And then I went in and watched the show after having read it. And I thought they did a pretty good job to the comics. It's just they're not making anymore, and they didn't get to the end, and it was a cliffhanger.
huge cliffhanger. Like,
yeah, you don't even know what they're looking at.
Yeah. Oh my God. Because I knew it was canceled, and I'm just kind of hoping. I was like, hopefully it doesn't end on like a major cliffhanger, something that could serve as a finale, but could also have enough in there to continue the storyline. Nope. Straight up fucking cliffhanger, no resolution. So pissed.
Yes. Yeah. And unlike Mythic Quest, they did not go back in and re-record the ending so they could release an ending that signified the show was over, as opposed to one where they were like, oh, could be continued next season. I don't know if you knew that with Mythic Quest, but it was crazy. They released the finale of their episode, the season finale, but then they were told the show was canceled, and so they went back in and recorded a series finale and like replaced the last couple of minutes of the episode.
At least they had the chance to do that. I mean, at the very least, doing their best to try and tie up loose ends. So
yeah, but I liked it. I thought they thought they did a good job with the show. The casting was pretty spot on to what I imagined when I was reading it. Honestly, Jason Mantzoukas is perfect in the role of the grandfather. Like, I wish he weren't, but he really is. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. How about you?
I really enjoyed it. With the comics, I read like the first volume or something because we had it at the library. I heard about the show from my friend Eric, who's been on the pod a lot, because he was a fan of the books. And so I was like, all right, I'll read the books and I'll check it out. And even before I got to, and I didn't read all of the comics, so I just stopped at like volume 1 because I was like, we'll save it. So even before I got to start watching the show, it had been canceled. And so that unfortunately kind of just stomps any like motivation to want to hurry up and watch it. And so I was like, what the fuck, man? I was like, now I'm not in as much of a hurry. So, and now I just got around to watching it for the podcast. And I'm so fucking pissed that they canceled it.
It was funny too, because when you were like, "Oh, who wants to do from this list of shows, or whatever?" I was like, "Well, I'll do Derry Girls or Paper Girls." It's just about the girls.
Just the girls. I know, but and we still got to do Bad Sister season 2, so I got to get on that. But
yes,
all the girls. Yeah, and as much as I love Derry Girls, I was like, well, this is my excuse to finally watch Paper Girls, and I'm glad that I did. And I'm glad that we're here to discuss it. Because, I really enjoyed it. I thought, for me, it started off just a little slow, but around episode 4 or 5, I was just like, especially episode 5, I was just like, oh, hell yeah.
And of course, at that point, you're past the halfway point, and so you're like, damn it.
So, but yeah, I loved the casting. These girls did amazing job. Playing the younger versions of like Erin, KJ, Mac, and Tiff. I love that all 4 of these girls are very strong in their own ways. And I just love how they're all so different and they're coming together and like coming of age and becoming besties and getting into fights and like punching each other in the face or whatever, and then still being friends. I love it. I really, really enjoyed it. And then I liked the time traveling kind of aspect. It was all kind of wild and weird. And I'm just like, I don't know really what's going on, but I like it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I remember when Erin did the episode, I was like, oh, this sounds really good, but I don't want to listen in case there's spoilers until afterward. So I went into the comic totally blind, like not knowing. I was like, okay, dinosaurs, sure. Oh, space, of course. Like what? Like it just, you turn the page and you were like, well, I didn't see that coming. And I think if you go into the show blindly like that too, there's these moments where you're just like, okay, yeah, sure, time travel, but what?
I very much had a couple of those moments. But it's not like they were anything that like deterred me or was just like too weird to be like, oh, I don't know what's going on. It was just enough to be like, I have no idea what's going on. And I love it. Next episode.
Yes.
So, let's see. What did you think of, so with the girls, do you have a favorite or either personality wise or kind of storyline wise in terms of what the characters went through in this very, 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 very short season?
Well, kind of like you were saying, they're all strong in their own ways. So there are certain elements that I'm just like, yes. Like, I love the character of Mac, and I love the growth that the character of Mac has. You see some of it in the show, and obviously more gets dealt with in the comic, but it's just the way she was raised versus what she's exposed to, right? So I really, really liked her storyline, and it's also one of the most heartbreaking storylines of the show as well. I liked Erin's storyline in particular because it was like single mom, 2 daughters. And while that was a brief period of my life, that was a period in my life where it was my mom and me and my younger sister. And so you also get that kind of like big sister protective mode, which was fantastic as well. KJ's storyline, it's that it's that whole like money can't buy happiness piece of things, and Tiff just being like this super genius kid who's just doing a paper route to like save money for walkie talkies, you know, like I love that for her. So I don't know if I can pick one favorite, but I think in terms of whose storyline I want more from, it would be Max. Like I want to learn more in depth about the members of her family, like her stepmom.
Yes.
Who we see at one particular moment. Want to know more about like her brother's transformation from like fuck up to to doctor, right? Like, I mean, we can kind of understand like, okay, this was probably the turning point and this is why. But I just felt like there was so much more to develop in her character. And if I remember correctly from the comics, which I really thought was in the show, but it wasn't, unless I blinked and missed it. But KJ's discovery about herself does, like, Mac gets kind of involved in that knowledge as well. There may be a scene between the two of them. That's super cute in the comic.
Oh, and it's like you kind of pick up on that throughout the show, that maybe there's something just under the surface with these two. Nothing's, come up yet. But I had gotten all the volumes in the big book from the library just the other day, so I haven't had a chance to read it, but I was doing a flip through and I just happened to land on a page where KJ's like, I kiss Mac? And I was like, you kiss Mac?
Yeah, exactly. And I really, for some reason, I thought it was in the show as I was watching it, and I'm like, that never happened. But then as I'm watching, I'm like, it doesn't make sense because Mac isn't there. Like, KJ's not there for herself yet, but Mac wouldn't be the one that she would confide in, I don't think, because Mac she's spouting off a lot of very prejudiced views that she learned from her father. So that it does take them a while to get there, but yeah.
Those two, I'm bummed because I would have loved to see those two and kind of where that all leads for them and how that all wraps up for them at the end. I agree about Mac. I think her storyline was definitely the one I was like the most interested in. She goes to the future. She finds out that she dies at like 16 when she finds her older brother that's much, much older.
Yeah.
And I loved how I loved how, like, none of that took a whole lot of time. He did the DNA test. He realized it's her and embraces it. And then they have these fun little moments of being brother and sister again. And it's like you have this grown up and he's being a kid and letting go. And I love that so much. And everything that he wanted to do for her, he's like, no, stay. I'll see if I can try and find a way to keep you from getting sick, from getting cancer. Yes, I have kids. And yes, I'm this person, but I'm still the old me, and I want you a part of this. You deserve to have the life that you deserve. I didn't say that right, but
no, but I knew exactly what you meant.
And her little smile, and when he's telling her all of this at Chili's, was just so sweet, so sweet. So then when KJ came in, and she's like, "We gotta go," and then they just leave. And then the series ends, and I'm like, poor Dylan doesn't get any kind of resolution. His sister just is poof gone once again,
right?
In a way, and it's like that just broke my heart. And then Mac breaks down, and she's crying, and I'm just like,
when she's
sad.
crying and like holding on to KJ on the motorcycle, it's just okay. So, in terms of Mac's relationship with her brother Dylan, do you remember a movie from the 80s? Called Flight of the Navigator? It just was totally giving me those vibes where, well, in Paper Girls, Dylan is her older brother. and then becomes a much older brother. But in Flight of the Navigator, it was his like younger brother who is suddenly now older than him when he returns.
Oh,
Right?
yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
because he gets like dropped off and he's like in the wrong year or something.
That's right. God,
Yeah, that was a classic in my house growing up. So
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know my husband watched that maybe during the winter time, home on break with the kids, because we're just like, oh, you got to watch it. It's classic, our childhood. And they're just like, yeah, it's pretty good.
yeah. I feel like we need to just hang on to those classics to ourselves. Like kids today don't deserve them.
No, they do not.
They just don't have the appreciation, and I understand why, right? Like the things that they're given are so much more. But that was crazy great movie when we were kids. I can't imagine it doesn't hold up like in the way that some, because there wasn't any. Oh, maybe there was something with like one of the doctors. Was there like a woman doctor or something?
Oh, I can't
Or a
remember. It
woman
was
nurse.
Oh, I can't remember.
I don't remember. It's
Yeah.
not that important, but like I feel like doing that sort of sibling age difference change it's a great trope to work with, because like I just think about like, what if my little sister was suddenly my big sister?
Oh my gosh.
First of all, no. Second of all, no.
No.
I love her, but she's my little sister. But it's just funny to think about, Mm-hmm. And
God,
also in the case of Mac, like her brother going from being like,
a little
a
delinquent.
delinquent.
Yep.
to a doctor who's like saving lives and, has 2.4 kids in a giant house kind of thing. That's not the number of kids people have today, but you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. Very suburban, very,
Yes.
he's.
And
you know,
she's just like, what
cul-de-sac
is
and-
this? What kind of like bougie life are you leading?
And I want to say too that I also appreciated how Dylan's wife Jennifer was just chill and cool with everything, not suspicious. KJ shows up and she's like, "Oh, you're one of Joe's friends, blah blah blah," and just chatting with her. And I loved it. I was like, okay, I like that. I love stressful shows. I love getting stressed out, but I love that it didn't, like, this one wasn't doing anything like that, where I'm just like, oh no, is this person going to suck? Oh, thank goodness.
The only one who sucked was Wilder, but you can kind of understand because she's like only 12 or 13 herself.
Yeah.
And now suddenly this young girl shows up and she's wearing the jacket that she thought was hers, that she probably got hand-me-down from her brother, or, that the brother had hung onto after Mac died, and then like one day to pass it on to his daughter kind of thing. And so the daughter probably understands the sentimental value of it, and now suddenly someone else that just showed up is wearing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just like, she's like, Wilder. What kind of name is that anyway?
I couldn't help but wonder if maybe it was, in a way, in my mind, it was a way for Dylan to kind of remember his sister when they were young and wild and doing all the young wild kid things, and him being that bad influence on his little sister. So
I love that.
That's the story I made up in my head. Because
No,
I
that's
thought that was
perfect.
super
That's
sweet.
beautiful. Headcanon accepted. We're
Yes.
in.
Yes. and then yeah, KJ. Oh my God, I could not even imagine what she sees of her future self, of adult her. Her
Yeah.
adult her is out and has a girlfriend and everything. And it's like, you were just outed by yourself. That's weird.
Yeah. And we should note that is after a second time jump where now they're no longer in
Yes.
2019, but they're in 1999, which for you and me, a big year. We both graduated high school that year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So like the mood of that year was like, okay, like I'm vibing with all of the things, like when KJ's parents are. She's like, oh yeah, my parents and I go away to some island or some boathouse or I don't know, some place every year. And I'm like, girl, you were 12 in 1988. It's now 1999. You think you're still doing that? Like, maybe you are, maybe you're not. But they're having this big, like, luau, which, of course, and they're playing, like, Mambo Number 5 and, like, the most 1999 song I can think of.
God, and that song has been stuck in my head since that episode that I watched a couple of days ago. And then, side note, I have the adult book display at the library for June. So one of them, because we've got like 3 places we can do book displays. So one of them, it's just like, you know, what's in a name? A good story. And it's books just with a name for the title. So my little sign has like, hello, my name is name tag. And then I got a bunch of different names just all scattered around. That. And I did sneak in Monica, Erica, Tina, Rita, and Sandra.
Oh my God. That is amazing. So Rita Morena, Sandra Day O'Connor?
No, I just...
Because it was Cassandra.
Just the names that were in Mambo Number 5.
Right, but I'm thinking like, I thought you, like, the book's titles that you put on there were like, Rita Moreno's memoir or something, like, is Rita or...
Oh, that would have made more sense. This was a last minute idea as well, so I didn't think to grab those.
No, I just... I love that.
Do it again. No. So we'll see if anyone... catches when they're looking at the sign, because there's the names.
You got to put them in the order, right?
Oh yeah, they're in order. Yes. So if I got to have it stuck in my head, so does everybody else.
I love that, and it would make my day if someone's like, I got this song stuck in my head as they come to check out their books, and you're like, don't know why, not my fault.
That's weird, huh?
Innocent face.
Yeah. But yeah, I loved all the 99 stuff. Cloves. That made me laugh.
Cigarettes. Oh my God. Freshman year of college, like, please. So dumb. That was the dumbest thing I ever did. I was like, I don't smoke cigarettes. I smoke cloves. Oh, what? Mm-hmm. Dummy. Mm-hmm. Dummy.
And then I had to stop and think. I was like, are cloves still around? Do the young people still smoke those? Do like the goths or the emos or the like?
But here's what I'm thinking. What if there's like, because like cloves were like vaping from the 90s.
Good point.
And so is there like a clove vape?
I'm sure there is. There's got to be one, right? There's so many different flavors. Clove vape. I have to ask. I know a few people that vape, so I'll ask them if there's any.
They've come across a clove flavor. I was like, at least they smell good, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I always thought they did.
I did. I definitely did. But yeah, and even just KJ's outfit, because like she's wearing a dress in this scene, which you can kind of get the impression she's not comfortable dressing that way. And you knew that from when she was getting ready for her bat mitzvah back in 1988, and her mom had picked out this big poofy dress for her, and she's just like, ugh. But the dress she was wearing, it was like the little spaghetti strap, like, oh my, I would have those dresses, and I would wear like a tight fitted t-shirt underneath it, like a white t-shirt with like the,
I had a few of those as well. I was like, is anyone wearing any Delilahs or Delias?
Yeah, Delias. Oh my God, Delias. Delia's was like the store I always wanted to be able to shop in, but
no kidding.
I was never allowed to. I was like, no, we're going to JCPenney, and that's it.
It's like, but Mom.
Or we're going to like the outlets, and that was your other option.
Definitely not mail order anything. So
no.
Oh God. And I even have to say because young Erin gets her period, and so when they get to 1999, she asks Mac to go steal her some feminine hygiene products.
Oh my God, it's so funny, but so sad.
And she oh my God, I loved that whole scene. It was actually really, really cute and hilarious. But they're looking, and so they got the tampons, and they're like, they don't know what the difference between regular and super. And Mac's like, the size of your vagina.
Size of your vagina. She's like, I'd be a super, obviously, which is so funny because like even when people talk about like vaginas having sizes, that they're like, oh no, you want it to be like tight. It's like, no, but Max like used to hearing her brother talk about something like having a big dick or whatever, probably. And so she's like, yeah, well, you need a big vagina to like, girl, that's not it. That's not it. But you get what you get.
Yep.
But yeah, it's so funny that conversation, like regular or super. And she's like, well, I guess I'd be regular. And then they like try and practice how to
Figure
use
it out.
And then they read about toxic shock syndrome.
I know. They're like, there's got to be instructions. I was like, don't read that. Don't read that. But the cardboard applicator sent me. I was like, oh my God. I felt like I had flashbacks and like not good ones.
No, no, because they were. Listen, when you're like preteen and the cardboard app, like there's no, you lubing up the tampon before you're sticking it in there because otherwise, I literally okay. So I haven't had periods for a decade now. Hysterectomy, yay! Shout out, woohoo! Best thing that ever happened, but the. I could not bring myself to wear tampons because of like reading those instructions when I was little. And then I never like it wasn't ever in the cards for me. And I was just like, no, this is not my thing, not my thing. But what I found funny, and I guess it makes sense. I don't know much about 1988, but I'm thinking about like parents not talking to their daughters about having periods, right? So Mac, she's got her stepmom, who doesn't seem to be like everybody seems to be kind of messed up in her family until apparently she gets sick. That scares the rest of them straight. But I don't know how universal this is, but tampons are a no because like if you use a tampon, not that you could get pregnant from the tampon, but it just means that you're loose because if you're going to stick that up there, then, or you like lose your virginity.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like none of them have gotten their periods. None of them know what to do about it. They're all just, they're fumbling together.
I love that they assumed KJ had hers from horseback riding. So they're just spouting out all the different like old wives' tales and the super not true stuff, like all like loose or you ride a horse and it'll make you have your period or something. I don't know. All that stuff was super weird. Just based on my experience, those kind of things, the body was not discussed. I think my mom tried to have like the sex talk with me way too late. It's like, nope, dead and gone, Mom. But yeah, when I got
wow, yeah, sure.
yeah. But when I got my period, I mean, unless it really was terrible and I've completely blacked it out, I don't really remember any kind of like discussion, like, oh, you're becoming a woman, even any of that kind of bullshit.
No.
I just remember Mom having pads, bringing pads, and then I had to wear, so it's like you put your pad and then your underwear. My mom had these like, maybe like almost like a control top kind of thing, but just like an underwear. So not like pantyhose. So I had to wear those over my underwear and everything. So that went over very well in the locker rooms in junior high.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I was done with pads quite early.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. I will say for me, I got mine. Luckily, I think I got it while I was at my dad's. So I like told my stepmom and like she helped me through. But I don't know if I had gotten it at my mom's, if I would have told my dad and my stepmom, or if I would have just waited until like it happened there and then be like, oh, this is the first time or something. Like it was just so weird. so like they just didn't really talk about it. It was just like,
Mm-mm.
oh, you got your period. Now use a pad, stick it here.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember reading the tampon boxes from my mom's tampons to try and see if that was something I wanted to do. And I tried it out a couple of times and I was like, this is not working for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I didn't like swim or anything. So I didn't need to, like, I knew swimmers wore them
Mm-hmm.
because like when I went to summer camp and like I could get out of swimming if I said I had my period. And I wasn't a good swimmer, so because yeah, I wasn't a good swimmer, and basically they made up a swimming class for me, like a category. You
Mm-hmm.
were like a minnow, you were like a guppy, a minnow, a fish, a flying
Mm-hmm.
fish, whatever. They made me like an advanced minnow, meaning my swimming was shit, but I was too old to be swimming in like the shallow end with the other
Oh,
kids. It was like a pity ranking for sure.
no.
It's fine. I'm
Oh,
not traumatized.
no,
What?
no,
No,
it's all
I
good.
do. I've been well. I was trying to swim at my pool at school, so but they're in renovation now. Anyway, unrelated. Let's get back to this. Yeah. So the periods.
Yes. I'm really glad that they included that and the scene played out how it did because it was funny. There's a lot of truth to that, I think, especially for young girls that are 12 in 1988. Because, like we've said,
Yeah.
our parents not big things that we discussed around the dinner table. That's for sure.
Right.
So
right.
I just
And not in a podcast out to the world.
yeah. So, but yeah, I just thought that was such a great scene and kind of like another little bonding moment for all the girls. So
And I like that in the end, she's like, no, I don't think I can do this. I'm going to need you to go back in there. And she was like, all right, I'll steal you some pads this
Yep.
time and figuring it out. But she even attempted to talk to her adult self
Mm-hmm.
in 2019 about it. But 2019 her is a bit neurotic.
Yes. Yes.
And so she was like about to stuff, or maybe she did
The
stuff
paper
like paper
towels.
towels in there just to like do something.
Mm-hmm.
But
Just to get by. So
yeah,
well, what did you think of adult Erin? And how her storyline ends in the show? And then how does that compare to the book?
oh, I'm trying to remember how much more of Erin we get to see, I feel like we've got to see her again at some other point in the book, but I don't remember now. Like it's been a year, two, or whenever this show came out, maybe 3 now. I struggled with her character because there were parts of it that I felt I could relate to in this sort of like, oh, well, single mom, younger sister. It's almost like you have to take on this role of at least what was referred to back in the 80s, like that is, or in the 90s, like the man of the house, like the older sister in that situation takes on those sort of parental roles. And she took it on to such an extreme when she didn't need to. And I feel like I could have had that potential with my sister, but luckily my mom remarried and like the family got bigger. And so that dynamic shifted. But she made a lot of assumptions about what her mom and her sister needed. And she thought she was the only one who could fix things. And to her detriment, right? To the point where she alienated her sister and her mom has since passed. And like, she was like, I remember parts, both young her and adult her, where they were like, oh no, like they don't have a good relationship. They don't have a good relationship. I have to be the one who navigates this relationship for them. And it's like, no, let them figure it out for themselves. You're not an adult. You don't have to be an adult, and it's okay. And I'd like to think that, if Erin were to return with her memories, that she would take that into consideration, that she didn't need to do all those things. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like to hope that they can change their paths, their trajectories.
I'm kind of hoping so. I feel like that kind of makes sense to eventually kind of get to that point, or at least get to the beginning of being able to make different choices to hopefully better their adult selves and not go through those futures that they saw. Create those alternate timelines and everything.
Right, yeah. And I don't want to give spoilers to the end of the book, but I think you're onto something with that idea of like beginning to. Like, we don't see them cycle back around entirely. We're not like, okay, now we're back in 2019 after having lived the last 21 years plus. But we do see like, okay, what could be the catalyst to take them on a different path?
Yeah, I'm excited to read the book to kind of find out where all that happens, because I was shocked and not super duper happy that adult Erin kind of did the very adult Erin thing to do, and sacrificed herself so the girls could try and get away. Blows up the big time traveling mech suit and everything, and again, of course, like Dylan, I feel like there's a lot unresolved here, and I feel like had the show continued, at some point we'd have to come back and like maybe they go find like 2019 Erin or something. I don't know. We'll never fucking know. But I just felt like that was incomplete. And maybe it was just because I didn't like it and I was just being a brat about it. But I'm like, no, there's got to be a way where they come back around to adult Erin, maybe not 2019 adult Erin, maybe 1999 adult Erin or something.
Yeah. I don't remember. I honestly do not remember that part from the comic now.
And maybe they don't. I don't know. But it just felt unresolved. I don't know. Maybe it was just because it was such a shock and a surprise and I wasn't expecting it. And I like Ali Wong, so I was hoping that she was going to be around a little longer. Yeah. So maybe it was just me hoping to see her again.
One thing I would love to have seen revealed is the origins of Grandfather. I think that was absolutely something I didn't see coming when I was reading the book. And I will not give that away because I think that that's worth going into. But I think that would have been a really cool thing to cover in the show.
Yeah. I mean, just so much. It feels like there's a lot that could have been covered had it not been canceled. I'm so mad.
Yeah. Maybe they can make an animated series out of it and those women could voice it.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Because obviously they're too old to play the characters at this point, right? To like live action, but they could do voice acting for it.
I would love that. Or hell, even if they do like an audiobook kind of thing, like with like a full cast.
Okay, yeah, like an audio drama sort of thing, like Doctor Who does.
Yes, and like the Sandman, because that's got a huge cast, and I love the voice cast. James McAvoy as Dream. Oh, it's a dream. So they should do that. Listen to us.
Let's sign the petition. We're making it now.
Yep.
Your signature to the petition will be you listening to this episode. And so the higher the numbers on this episode, the more we'll pretend that this could happen.
Exactly.
Like this many people listened and they advocate for it.
And they're on our side. So get on it.
Yeah. Oh, it would be so cool.
What about Tiff? Young Tiff versus older Tiff and the truth bomb older Tiff drops.
Yeah. Speaking about KJ discovering that she likes girls is just like she's outing herself, right? Erin learning that like her like she and her sister don't have that close relationship that they had when they were little, you know, even like Mac learning that she's going to die. When we're also talking about Tiff, her big thing is like, oh, you were adopted.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you don't see that coming because in the flashbacks with her parents, you know, I think in the 80s there was a big surge of like interracial adoption. Is that the right way to phrase it? I'm not sure. Adopting white people adopting non-white babies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was no like visual giveaway
Mm-hmm.
in this. And so I really liked that. I loved future Tiff's look.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was great. Also, I feel almost more early 2000s than 99, but still, like, you could see her being ahead of the curve on that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then it wasn't just that, but it was also the dropping out of college. Like, those were the two pieces. Like, you're adopted and you didn't graduate from college. So, and those are like, you know, graduating from MIT was your dream. But it's just, and there's so much more that they get into in developing that relationship that we don't get to see on screen, right? Where it's just like, okay, well, I understand this is where you're coming from. This is why you got to this point. And like the Quilkin Institute that is mentioned a couple of times, you're like, but what is this institute? Tell us more.
Mm-hmm. But no.
And did you catch what she wrote, young Tiff wrote on older Tiff's journal or on the notebook?
Did she write, or no, she just said, you invented time travel. I can't remember what she
wrote it. Yeah, she
did
wrote
write
it
that.
on the cover of the journal. You invent time travel. And so like all of that, those are such key things that will like, you know, when you're talking about, sure, we have a cliffhanger. Like a literal cliffhanger where not literal. There's no one's hanging on a cliff, but they're looking at the screen and you can tell there's something that will be revealed in the beginning of this existent second season. But there's all these loose threads, right? And the Quilkin Institute is one of them. And it's just like, I don't know. I loved the character of Tiff. She made me so happy. Like just that character in general was very a character that I was like, yeah, I want to like wrap you up in a warm hug because you're so innocent about what the future will bring and you deserve to be. You should be allowed to keep that innocence. And I loved that. How about you?
Oh, I loved young Tiff and I loved adult Tiff because I loved the person that young Tiff became and kind of the little nuggets that we get about her journey and kind of, you know, the learning that she was like when adult Tiff had to learn that she was adopted. That seemed to be a whole big thing for her, obviously. Part of the reason why she dropped out of MIT and then kind of started her own path to find herself. She even says, like, those weren't our dreams. Those were mom's dreams. And young Tiff, I thought it was super cute, is scolding older Tiff, and she sounds like a mom. The way she's like, something happened. You're not telling me something, you know, before she finds out about MIT and everything. And I was just like, you're just like a sponge of your parent, and you're just squeezing all of that out to your older self. And I thought that part was really funny, but I would have liked to have seen more of older Tiff's kind of journey to become that. But I love that younger Tiff had no problem yelling at herself. And even before that, how proud she was of herself. You know, she's watching her graduation video and her eyes are all twinkly. She's like, we did it. We got into MIT and
so funny.
So funny.
So funny.
Adorable.
Like if it was anybody but a 12-year-old doing that, it would be like, that's really narcissistic. But like she's just this little kid who has great dreams and she's seeing that those dreams are possible.
Yeah, and I love that for her. So, and then yeah, because even when they go into 2019 and they first are kind of searching for themselves, she sees right away the Quilkin Institute, and I'm like, why didn't you go there then? Future Tiff, 2019 Tiff is obviously,
So
capable, and
I don't think in 2019 they don't get that far, right? Because they're with Aaron and then they go to the farm with what's his name? I can't
Larry.
remember now. Larry. Yeah, Larry.
Larry.
And then from there Larry like gets them in the time machine.
There was I don't
Was
think
there a moment?
There was like a really short moment, really brief moment where Tiff Googled herself, and I think then it's in 1999 she mentions that she had looked herself up on the computer like old Aaron had shown them.
Right.
So
but
it
she
was
had looked
really
herself
fast.
up in 2019 or in 1999? She looked herself up in 2019, right?
Yeah, she Googled herself in 2019 and found out about the Institute, but she didn't seek her older self out at that point. It wasn't until 99.
I think her idea at that point was, well, we do have a way home. This is the way home, and we're just going to do it. And so 99, obviously the Institute's not there yet. So she's just kind of giving her that Easter egg of like, oh, hey, you're, yeah.
And then when the Old Watch, Adina Porter and all of them catch up to the girls and get them back to wherever. And then Adina Porter's character, the Purist?
The Prioress.
Prioress. Yes, thank you. She seems to like switch sides, and she tells young Tiff that Dr. Quilkin is like kind of like a really big part in all of this and to actually go seek her out or something like that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Now what's happening?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So I'm real bummed that we don't get any more of what that was all about.
Yeah, you do. You just have to read the comics for that one. Like that does get revealed. So like that piece of the story is important. But yeah, it's once she discovers her name, when she learns, oh, your name is Tiffany Quilkin, then she's like, this is bigger than just like 4 girls out of their time. This is like crucial to the future or past or all of that, right? Like there's something there. And I think, yeah, like you said, that's the moment where she kind of changes her allegiance.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay. I wish we would have learned a bit more. And it would have been nice to have more than just like 8 episodes.
I mean, for real, give us at least 12.
At the very least.
I mean, I miss the days of like 20 episode seasons. But I will say, a lot of the TV made now is a lot tighter, right? It's a lot like the stories are almost seamless in a lot of cases, where like in 20 to 23 episode series, they're just like, oh yeah. Here's a one-off. Here's a one-off. Obviously, something like Abbott Elementary shows us that doesn't have to be the case, but traditionally it was.
Yep, the filler episodes, because my husband and I were still watching Bones, and so that was still like a 20-plus episode series, or for seasons. And I can't remember which ones we were watching the other night, but yeah. So the one of them is all from the point of view of like the skull. It's a ghosty element and everything to it. And I was like, these fun, gimmicky episodes that have nothing to do with the overall season plot can be a lot of fun.
Yes.
And, I enjoyed that one. And I think it followed, I think there was like another one that was almost filler-ish. But
yeah,
way,
it's Supernatural had them all the time.
Oh,
so.
yeah, all the time.
Like I would take filler of this, but honestly, I don't think it needs to. When you're adapting from like a comics medium, it's basically here's the storyboard for you. Like it's done. Just make it motion.
Yep. Yep. So, yeah, I feel like I sound like a broken record at this point, or I'm just,
Yeah, just want more.
I just want more. I just would have liked to see how that would have played out on screen, what that adaptation would have looked like. So, but no,
Yeah.
fucking prom
Yeah.
sucks.
And just like those little elements, things like who are Heck and Nando? Like
Yeah.
Larry seemed to know them, but like, and who's the good guys and who's the bad guys? Like, is the old watch right? Or is it the
Underground. Is it STR? SRT? It's those three letters.
It's good because I was like, I was going to call it STD, and I'm like, that's definitely not right. STR, maybe?
I think
Standard Time Rebels or Renegades or...
That sounds great. I like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Them. But it's like, well, who's right? You know, and we have shows like Loki and other things that are like, oh, these are people that think time traveling should be okay, and these are people who are like, no, we're messing with like the status quo. And of course, I think I'd be on the pro time travel side, because like those who don't want to do time travel are those who want to maintain their power in the world as it exists. And so we got to shake it up sometimes. And if that involves time travel, I'm in.
Hell yeah. Get all timey-wimey.
But anyway, them, yeah. Like, I want to know more about them.
Yeah.
I want to know more about Mac's stepmom. I want to know, more about Aaron's sister. Right? There's all of these characters that are kind of like slightly introduced into our world. Even well, we do get a little bit more of Larry's girlfriend there.
Juniper.
Yeah. Which is also another interesting thing, because 1999 him is not with her. Because we see her getting married, like picking out a wedding dress. And then when she talks to him on the phone, she clearly doesn't know who he is. But then in 2019, there seems to be something more there. I remember correctly, some of that is addressed, but I can't remember how much. I got to go back and reread this. I really like these comics.
Yeah, and I couldn't help but wonder if in like 1999, if some of the events there weren't like the catalyst for the 2019 versions, right? Like, well, I guess because at first I was like, oh, is this like Larry and Juniper's like meet cute? But then no, Juniper is pulled up into the beam and gets her mind wiped, memory erased like again or something.
In 99, right?
In 99, yes.
Yeah.
So
they have to re-meet cute.
They have, yep. And then like with KJ, she finds out from Lauren, adult KJ's girlfriend, that KJ ends up going to New York for film school and kind of does not what young KJ thought. Right. And Lauren's talking about movies and Kubrick and blah, blah, blah. And so she's like, oh, well, we're going to be at the matinee and you should totally come if you want. So young KJ does. And she goes and she watches
2001.
Yes. And, she's totally into it. And so I'm like, is this the moment that young KJ starts getting into films and sets that path for older KJ? I was like, is it? Because that'd be kind of neat.
Also, thinking about Mac, is that the moment where she starts telling her brother that she wants more for him, right? Because he says, future him says something about how, like, you kept telling me I could do better or that I was better than this or something. So it does make you think. But I won't tell. No, there's like some base things with the comic. It's like, sure, we can address that, but definitely not like plot spoilers. I think I mentioned before the dinosaurs. Like there's dinosaurs in this. There's pterodactyls, because of course, pterodactyls in space.
Dinosaurs in space. That's a Doctor Who episode.
Yes, it is. But like you see the appearance of this pterodactyl, and named Tessa, and it's like, okay, well, this is a character, but what, where did this dinosaur come from? How was it trained? And like, why is it that giant?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so many questions about the dinosaurs, but the dinosaurs do come to make more sense in the comics as well. And then, yeah, there's just the moral of this episode is go read the comic, please.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you know what, I'm gonna think of it like with One Piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Still only in like 700 and something.
I was wondering.
Haven't watched it for a couple of months, more than like 3 episodes. But the reason I got into the animated series was because I went and watched the live action.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's allegedly going to be a second season of the live action. The creator of the anime of the manga is involved in it, so he's trying to make sure it's good. But he's like, there's a lot of things. He's like, okay, no, we have to do this, we have to fix that, or whatever. So he's being very particular, which is good because that means it's going to come out the way he'd like.
Mm-hmm.
But I think watching the live action of One Piece is a great gateway into watching the show or reading the manga.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel the same way about Paper Girls. Yeah, we've told you it's ending on a cliffhanger. Yeah, we've spoiled a whole bunch of this stuff. But if you haven't watched it, it's still worth watching so you can get to know these characters. And then go ahead and sit down with the comics and read it. And you're going to feel like you know these characters already. And you're going to get to see more of their lives unfold. And I think that makes it worth watching, even though it's a cliffhanger.
I love that. I completely agree with everything you just said. I love how like the series is a little bit of like a gateway into the Paper Girls and these characters and everything, because I also feel like in these 8 episodes, I could have cared more. Knowing how I get, I know I could have cared about these characters a lot more. Not to say that I didn't care about them at all.
Oh, but you were just starting to, right?
Exactly. So now it's like, I'm starting to, and now I'm going to go and get to know those girls a little more through the books. So I think that's a wonderful way to put that. So that was beautiful.
Good,
Thank
good.
you, Babs.
I'm glad, because I don't want people to be like, I know for me, a lot of times, if I'm planning on watching a show, I won't necessarily listen to the episode on it until after I've watched the show or the movie. But if it's one that I'm like, you know what, I'm not sure if I want to watch it or not, I'll listen. And that will be my way in to be like, yeah, okay, this is something I want to watch. So I hope there's people listening that haven't gotten to see it yet. And this serves as your invitation to join us.
Exactly. And then from what I was seeing, just comments or, just online stuff, one of the reasons why the show was canceled, supposedly, was that it was starting to divert too far from the source material. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. Another thing I saw said that it was low ratings, something like compared to like Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, you can't fucking compare those two. Lord of the Rings is an established franchise and series and everything. You're not even giving Paper Girls a fucking chance, and then you bury it in your catalog.
Yeah.
So
you bury it in your catalog, because I one of the things I thought I saw somewhere, and I can't remember when, was that it was like a knockoff of Stranger Things in a way. And I'm like, but it's not.
But it's not.
It's not the same thing. It's not even trying to be the same thing. And also the comic's been around for quite a minute.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, what? They are equating it to Stranger Things because it's kids on bikes in the 80s? Like,
right?
That's just how we got places. That's not specific to a certain show. That was our major mode of transportation.
Stranger Things and E.T., aren't they the same? There's kids on bikes in the 80s.
So much bike riding in E.T. as well.
So much.
Up in the sky, too. So
even there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I don't know. I don't know where that the whole comparison to Stranger Things is coming from, because it's
I
not.
think it's just the 80s of it all. Mm-hmm. That's really it.
So,
I don't know.
I don't know. All right. Let's see. Anything else? You got anything else?
I guess I was curious, is there one character that you would connect with? Like, if you're of the 4 characters, adult or child versions, your call. But is there one that you would connect with the most?
Oh man. That's kind of hard to say. There was a lot of things about Mac that I liked that I could understand. Me and Mac's childhood, not the same, but in the respects of the kind of abuse that she endured. I mean, my mom was born and raised in Korea, so to be beat was pretty normal. So for me, it's still like, oh, whatever. A spanking's a spanking, even if it's across your face. So there was things about Mac that I understood, that I could kind of relate to. And even in that first episode, or anytime she puts on that, tough girl front and trying to be a badass, I mean, she's obviously overcompensating for all of the things. So there was times where she drove me absolutely fucking bonkers, but I'm like, I get it. I'm sure I drove plenty of people fucking bonkers as well. So there's Mac, like young Mac. A little bit of adult Tiff because of just the 180 she does after learning about being adopted and then going and finding herself and her passions and what she's into and breaking away from being, in the parent shadow or whatever and becoming her own person. I loved that. I love that journey for her. And I think a lot of people can relate to that on some level of you graduate, you move out, whether you go to college or not, it's your world now, right? Like you maybe have your own place and a job, and it's all just you, not what mom wants, not what dad wants, not what the family wants, but what do you want? What drives you? And so I loved that. And I love that it was that character too. The really smart one, the really driven to be, the academic one does that 180. So
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I mentioned before Erin, like, especially because of that, like, big sister dynamic. Mm-hmm. But I think there's parts of KJ as well where it's like you're almost a different person in front of your family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't get to see like 2019 KJ to know, like, did she ever come out to her parents? Did she ever like embrace her true self? But just the idea, whether it's in queerness or any other element of your life that you're trying to like keep secret from your family because you think they won't approve of you for doing X, Y, or Z. Mm-hmm. I think there was elements of that, like 1999 version of KJ that I was like, yeah, I can see that. Whereas like even 12-year-old, like I just remember getting at my dad's every year, I would get a porcelain doll at Christmas. And I am not a porcelain doll. I'm not a doll kind of person, and I never was, right? Mm-hmm. So it was always this idea of like them trying to push a more girly vibe on me, and I just was not leaning into that whatsoever,
Yeah.
So I think other than like young Erin, more so not older Erin, but younger Erin, and then older KJ. I think those would be my two. Now, the Mac and older Tiff characters, those are who I kind of wish I could have been more like, who in my head sometimes I was more like I'm tough. Mm-hmm. You can't make me feel things, right? Or you know what? I'm going to do my thing and like screw the rest of you all. Like those were aspirational for me.
Yep. No, I totally get that. Yeah, because when I was 18, I moved. This is when I moved to Wisconsin and had to go and find myself. I was not on speaking terms with my parents and my family for a while, so there was kind of a little bit of that.
Are you and me? Are we the same? I didn't go to Wisconsin, but I went to New Hampshire.
Yeah, just kind of next door.
Yeah, kind of next door, but far enough away where no one was coming to visit you every weekend.
Yes. So yeah, that was, yeah.
Move over, Erin. I'm taking over as Jen's twin. No, just kidding. Just kidding. And when I say Erin, I mean podcasting Erin for anybody who's listening and thinking I'm talking about Erin from the show because that's confusing.
Yeah. No, my brain twin.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, and I had one more thing.
Yes.
It was just a quote that, like, when I heard it, it made me laugh. It was the second time someone asks Erin if she wants some Pop-Tarts. And she's just like, am I wearing a sign that says feed me Pop-Tarts or something? I don't know why, but I lost it for that line. I lost it. I was like, that's the most ridiculous thing. But like, yeah, that's kind of what I was like. Stop asking me if I want a freaking Pop-Tart.
No, I love that. That's a good call out because that was hilarious. Oh, she was in such a mood too, which I understand. She just watched her older version die. So
yeah, you're not
a little
like,
cranky.
Mac knew older her died, but Erin watched older her die.
Yeah, that's so fucked up. So. All right. Well, if there are no more stray bubbles, we'll go ahead and move into the Midwest goodbye. So the beginning of the end, we've done our whelp knee slap and we're standing at the door where we'll spend another who knows how long saying our goodbyes. So first up is the 6 Degrees of Nicolas Cage, where we connect this show to Nicolas Cage in 6 steps or less. Why? Why the fuck not? Bex, how'd you do?
Okay. So I started with Adina Porter, who played Prioress. She was in The Power with Tahib Jamal, who is my precious baby, love forever. In the character of Sam Obisanya from Ted Lasso. So Tahib Jamal is in Ted Lasso with Brett Goldstein, who is funny as all hell. Brett Goldstein was in the Garfield movie with Samuel L. Jackson. And Samuel L. Jackson was in Kiss of Death with Nicolas Cage.
Very nice.
So there we go. I wanted to, I was like, okay, Adina Porter, let's start there. Oh, she was in The Power. We know what route we're going now. It's like, if I can have Tahib Jamal in my 6 degrees, like, he will be there.
Isn't it nice when you're just like, oh, it's all laid out for me right there. There we go. So I went with Jason Mantzoukas because he is hilarious. And yes, Erin interviewed him and Adina Porter at the very least. I know she interviewed more of the cast. And he just seems like such a chill dude, but he plays some of the most like outrageous and loud and hilarious characters. I love that. But he was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine with Andre Braugher.
Yeah.
Who was in City of Angels with Nicolas Cage.
Okay. I wasn't sure, because Jason Mantzoukas, he was also in the, what is that? The Percy Jackson series, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I was like, we could go that route too, but that would be a few more degrees.
He's got
he
quite
does a lot of
film.
those weird characters.
He does, and he does a lot of like voiceover work. So when I was going through his IMDb, and I was like, oh, you have done a voice, at least one character in like fucking everything. It's like,
yeah, he's
way to keep working.
He's in Invincible.
Yes,
he is. Rexplode.
That's yes, yep.
Yeah.
And then
well, I don't know, have you watched the most recent season of that?
No, not yet.
Okay, well, no spoilers then.
Yeah, that's one that I watch with my husband, so I have to wait until his schedule simmers down and then we'll get to it. I don't know, probably fucking November.
I roll. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. I'm in the same boat now
Yeah.
with so many shows.
So
But we
many
did see the
shows.
most recent season of that, and
I don't know if I
maybe
can
we're
wait.
still watching it. I don't listen. Everything got crazy over these last 2 months when he was away. I'm like, I don't know what shows are new, what shows are still happening. I don't know. Anyway, yes.
Anyway, well, that leads nicely into the next little segment. What's been streaming in your bubble? So, what else have you been watching? And if you haven't been watching much, reading, any games you're playing, just what you've been up to.
So, I do want to throw out a podcast that I started listening to. It's Good Hang with Amy Poehler.
Oh yeah.
I've really been enjoying that. There was a week I was like doing a deep clean in my house. You know, the kind where you like move furniture to get the dust behind it. Like,
Yeah.
and I just put that on in the background, and she obviously her first episode was with Tina Fey because of course they're married. But she had Martin Short on, she had Michelle Obama on, she had Rashida Jones on. It's just, she said, look, if all these dudes can just be doing a podcast about nothing, I'm gonna do a podcast about nothing.
Fuck
I'm
yeah.
just gonna talk to my friends and we're gonna record it and we're gonna put it out in the world.
Hell yeah.
It's really cool because the first segment she does is she actually talks to friends of the person who's like the main guest, and she gets them to like ask questions that she can then ask the interviewee.
Yeah.
So like they had Michelle Obama's brother on, they had like just a bunch of different people in front of other interviewees. So that's a podcast I would recommend if you like podcasts where people are just shooting the shit about whatever. And I mean, she does interviews, she does have certain questions, there is a nice flow to it, but it's like nothing too serious.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. So my husband was away for 2 months for family reasons, and he's just been back a little over a week now, a little less than a week, almost 2 weeks. I honestly have no concept of time anymore. He's back. And we started watching TV again together again. We were watching this series called Lazarus. It's an animated series on Max, HBO Max, whatever the hell they're calling themselves these days.
Yeah.
The artist formerly known as HBO. Anyway, it's this series about a guy who creates a miracle drug that like people don't feel pain or they don't experience pain or something about not suffering. And then what they find out is that after 3 years, this miracle drug turns lethal. So 3 years after you've taken it, you will die. And they're trying to stop that from happening. They've got like 30 days to do it. And there's like a ragtag group of like people who each have their, like, there's the computer one, and there's the like theft one, and there's the, you know, all of, so they come together. It's pretty good. So far they've done a bunch of different things. They're kind of looking for the guy who created it so they can be like, okay, how do we stop this? But that's a week to week, so I haven't watched the whole thing. We are watching The Last of Us season 2. We've only watched the first 2 episodes. I did not see that coming. And you know what's funny is like I have a friend who plays the games, and she's like, yeah, I'm really curious what they're gonna do when they're like onto the second game, because like I don't want to spoil it, but something happens and I just don't see how they're gonna work around that. And well, apparently they didn't work around it. They leaned into it, and they leaned into it hard. But I do think the first 2 episodes were very well done, so I will keep watching. Also, my understanding is that thing that happened will not affect who appears in the season.
Okay.
So that's good. And then the last one that I'll mention is a show called Eternato. Eternato. The Eternaut. It's a made up word in English as well. So like it's a show in Spanish. It's an Argentinian show. And basically what happens in the first part of the first episode is you've got these guys, they're all like playing cards in the basement of one of their houses, and like, you know, it's not poker, but it's like the idea of like a poker night. And then it's summer, so it's like a couple days before Christmas, because Argentina, you know. And then there's like an explosion sound or something, and then fire trucks and this and that. And then you look outside and there's like little flakes falling from the sky. And you don't know what these flakes are. It's like, is it snow? Is it ash? Is it something else? We don't know. And apparently what happens is if these flakes touch you when they're falling from the sky, you will die.
Oh.
That's like the very beginning.
Oh.
So I'm not
okay.
You know this within the first like 10 minutes or so. It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix. I highly recommend you don't read the quick little summary at the start of the Netflix page, because there is no indication of what it says on that description until the 4th episode.
Oh, okay.
Like I didn't see it until after we'd watched the first 2. And I was like, what is going on? This is so suspenseful, but like in a good way, like a mystery. Like, what is this thing falling from the sky? Why are people dying? What is it going to stop? Will it, you know, like this, how far is it? Is it just local? Is it, you don't know any of this. And if you don't read that little 2-sentence Netflix description, it will be the most wonderfully intense show.
Ooh.
And then suddenly this thing will happen and you're like, okay, so I guess we're going in that direction. And highly recommend it. I forget the actor's name, but he's a very well-known Argentinian actor. The one thing I remember watching him in was a movie called Son of the Bride.
Okay.
That was probably from the 90s, so I don't know. Very good show. Very, very good show. I think there's 8 episodes, and it's been renewed for a second season. We haven't watched the finale of season 1, but we've watched the first 7 episodes. So,
okay.
Yeah. Definitely
Awesome.
Recommending that one.
Awesome. I love going into shows and movies knowing as little as possible. So
that's
just
one that you will totally benefit from. Just don't read any of the descriptions. Just
hit play.
Hit play. And when you hit stop, hit back really quick so you get out, because that's where I saw it. It's like after we watched the second episode and you hit the back button to go to the menu, but it's the show menu and not the main menu.
Yep.
Go all the way out of it. Do not.
I just hit the home button, go back to the Roku screen, start
there
from
you
fresh.
go. There you go. That works. I use a PlayStation controller, so I don't
Yep.
yeah, just get out of that menu. Don't see what there is to see, and you'll just be like, this. And apparently that's based off of comics or a graphic novel or something as well. We just put it on hold on our library, but apparently there's one physical copy in the entire Brooklyn Public Library system, and there are 10 people ahead of us. So it might be a minute before we get that.
10's not too bad. So
10's not too bad, but you get 3 weeks, and our library does not charge you a late fee if you bring your book back. Right? Which I love. Please don't charge late fees.
Yes, agreed.
You know, just don't. I understand if you have to replace the book, right? That becomes a different thing.
Yep.
But yeah, so someone who maybe doesn't go to the library as frequently, or here's the other thing. So you get 3 weeks with the book. Let's say you take all 3 of those weeks and you return it on time, but the second person on the list like you return it to the central branch. The second person wants it at like the Mill Basin branch, and then the third person wants it. Like we've
Oh,
got
yeah,
so
yeah.
many branches throughout the system that it's like we also have to add in transit time for that. So,
Yeah.
but I really want the physical copy to read and not the digital. So,
Yeah. I get that. I have found that like my oldest will read e-comics through like the Hoopla app. And he loves it.
yeah, my husband does too, but I
I
like the
can't. I don't know why. And it's like it's nice because it's like on the Hoopla app you can like zoom in, so you're not just looking at the whole page on a tiny device screen or whatever. So you can zoom into each panel and dialogue bubble. But like, I don't know. I didn't like that. I was like, this isn't working for me. I think my attention span's too short or something because now I'm just tapping things. So, but hey, if you're into that, if that doesn't bother you, then absolutely do the e-comics then.
yeah, absolutely. And one thing I don't like about the e-comics is seeing only one page at a time. Because sometimes
Yep.
it is meant to be across the two pages, and I think there is a way you can do that if you
Yeah.
hold the iPad the other direction. But I don't have an iPad; he does. So, and I also have a rule for myself where I do not read on a device when I read in bed.
Oh, okay.
So
That's a good rule to have, I think.
yeah, it's like get rid of my screen time, and then I can just like enjoy a book with pages. And
Yeah.
yeah, anyway.
Excellent. Let's see. For me, I recently finished the latest season of Yellow Jackets, and I'm making a face. I won't go too much into it, but all I'll say is this last season, there were things I liked, things I didn't like, things that just kind of made me go, what the fuck? Really?
Yeah.
So because I loved, like the first two seasons and everything. So I want to go back and rewatch all the seasons and then maybe try and do an episode, whether with a tolerable or if I just have to like share loud thoughts. I'm going to need to record about it, I am sure.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering, hoping if things make a little bit more sense as a binge rather than the waiting.
know.
I probably not
The first season was perfection.
so good.
The second season went downhill, and the finale of the second season made us go, huh. Do we really want to keep watching this? Because that was my husband's favorite character.
Oh yeah, everyone. I think
hands
almost
down.
everyone's favorite.
But
character.
the adult version as much as the young version, right? And it's just like, how are they going to make it work without her?
Yeah.
And so we actually didn't watch the third season.
Oh. Well.
We said no thanks.
Yeah.
We've got enough stuff on our list.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you made it through, and I am curious if you change your perspective like as a binge, because I think, and having not watched any of this current season, but assuming that the structure is the same with the flashbacks and the forwards, is that that flashback stuff had a lot of cool things going for it. I don't know, maybe that fell apart, maybe it's just the present day stuff, but I thought the second season was a bit messy.
Yeah, I could see that. I didn't really mind the second season. I think I still liked it. I feel like it's been forever since I watched it.
That too, right?
But yeah, and it's like the third season, I was enthusiastic and very excited, and it just kind of, my excitement started to kind of wane, and then it's like it'd be like 2 weeks, and I'm like, oh, I should probably go back and try and finish Yellow Jackets. So
yeah, that's never a good sign, right?
No, it's not. And for me personally, I still liked the flashbacky bits. More of what I didn't care for happens in like the more present day stuff with the adult version. So
yeah,
we'll see.
It's too bad too because it had such a good cast.
Yeah, and I loved the casting for the younger versions of
So spot on.
So spot on. So fucking good. So
like better than Now and Then.
Which is bananas to say, right?
Right?
God, I love that
was
movie.
An epic casting. Oh,
it
yeah.
really was.
I mean, I'm sorry. Who growing up in the 90s did not love that movie?
Right? And it's like, both have Christina Ricci.
Right. Same.
Funsies. So. Well, all right. I think that'll do it for us today. So, Bex, thank you so much for joining me and talking about Paper Girls. And thank you for you were more than welcome to share book spoilers, but thank you for not doing so and just kind of leaving a little trail of like, you'll just have to read and find out. Because now I'm like, all right, let's wrap this up. My book is upstairs. So, but
you'll have to keep me posted on,
I will.
On what you think.
Oh, for sure. So, but before we go, Bex, do you want to go ahead and let everyone know where they can find and follow Big Reputations in a supportive way and not in a creepy internet stalking way?
Yeah, just be supportive.
Don't be weird.
We are at Big Reputations Pod on Instagram, and you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts because that's how podcasts work, or that's how podcasts should work. Mm-hmm. And if you're interested in my random ramblings, you can find me at Dr. Bex PhD on Blue Sky. That's DRBEX PhD. And mostly I talk about school stuff, but sometimes I weave in some fan stuff as well.
Awesome. So, all right. Well, that's it. So thank you all for listening and keep streaming. Goodbye. You can say goodbye.
Oh, bye.
If you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to let me know by rating and reviewing on a podcast player near you, and by sharing your favorite episodes with your friends, family, and mail carrier. Then be sure to follow me on all your favorite socials like Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. Just search My Streaming Bubble and I should pop on up there for ya. If you have suggestions on what I should stream in my bubble next, or you want to be tolerated, send an email to mystreamingbubble@gmail.com. Looking for merch? Stop by my Redbubble store where you can find and buy My Streaming Bubble stickers, hats, shirts, and more. You can also head over to buymeacoffee.com and, well, buy me a coffee. Need more Podcast Me in your life? Then be sure to check out my other podcast, Twin It to Win It. That's a monthly podcast that I co-host with my podcast brain twin, Erin from It's a Fandom Thing, where we test our twinningness by trying to guess if we both feel the same way about different horror movies. You can find and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. And most importantly, you can listen, rate, review, and share from most podcast players. Thank you for your support and keep streaming. Goodbye.